Hi, welcome to another weekly stock market update. I'm Jermaine, and so today we're just gonna go through just some updates from the what would have happened on the market in the last couple of days. Now, I don't believe we did one last week, and that's because we were preparing for a class that's coming up tomorrow. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But for now, I'm just gonna go through some of the highlights, just some of the things that stood out to me, and we'll just see what else is interesting too as we go through the session. All right. So the very first thing I want to do is introduce you to our stock analysis class that's coming up tomorrow. You still have time to register. Registration closes tomorrow morning. So that's the first thing that I'm encouraging you to do. We do have classes every quarter. So if you missed this one, there are other classes that you can attend. So I just want to bring that to your attention. So just in case you don't know how to analyze financial statements, you don't understand the numbers, all of that stuff, we'll go through it step by step. It's a 3-hour class. We're gonna break down every single aspect of the financial statements, show some examples. Actually, right now, there is a poll in our Telegram group to vote on which financial statement we'll go through. That poll closed at 5 p.m. So we're gonna go through that company with examples of how you could potentially do that analysis, and it should help you to make your decisions as it relates to your investments. All right. So evening, Orville. So before I go any further, I'm just going to say a brief word of prayer. I thank you, Lord, for this day. I thank you for this week. I pray, Lord, that as we go through this session, your presence will be here with us, and that we'll all learn, grow, and invest as a community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So just some updates for you. I think you would have known about, let me actually search here. The very first thing I'll mention is the EduFocal IPO. So let me actually go back to my screen here. So this is the Mayberry Instagram page. And so we saw where IPO was open at 9 o'clock. And I think like 10 minutes later, it was announced as closed. So it's closed and oversubscribed. So if you were interested in applying, we do have a video on this channel reviewing the prospectus. Have a look at it. Speak to a licensed financial advisor before you make a decision. But we're just mentioning that. There was also JFP that had closed, I think, close to 2 weeks ago. That should be listing next week. I didn't see any notice about it. Let me check GK's page, see if they have any announcement about it. So this is their page. It just says that it was oversubscribed as well, and the basis of allocation came out. So let me bring that up as well. All right. Okay. So this is on the Jamaica Stock Exchange website. I'm going to share the link in the description after this video. So if you applied for the IPO, so there were 4 pools. There was the employee reserve pool. Those persons got 100% of their application. There was the strategic partners. They got 100%. The GK reserve pool, that was the lead broker for the IPO, got 100%. And then everyone else that was in the public would have gotten the first 12,500 shares, and then they would have gotten 22.8% of the excess. And we'll have shown some examples on our Twitter page as to how much you would have gotten, and in our Telegram group. So depending on the amount that you would have applied for, you can look at this to see, how much you would have actually gotten. As usual, we did a review of that prospectus as well. So if you don't know about the company, don't understand what they do, check out our video. It will show you everything that you need to know about the company. All right, so I'm trying to give you all the highlights before I get into the market updates. Let me see some of the comments here. So, Lori, if you just learned about Fesco, I think you want to do some research first before. So let me actually share the comment on the screen. So Lori is saying, as a newbie, she just learned about Fesco, so she submitted her share request. Please speak to a financial advisor first, research the company, understand whether or not you'd want to purchase at these prices before you make a decision. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it today, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of say that, and as usual, everything that we cover here is for information, education. We don't really tell persons what to buy or sell. That's not our place. All right. So let me log into my app here. All right, just another few seconds. All right, so the first stock that I want to look at is actually Massey. All right, so Massey is close to their stock split record date. That's actually March 11th. So as at the point of this video, it's 1 week away. So it's going to be next week, Friday. For those who are unaware of what a stock split is, it's when the total number of shares outstanding are divided up based on the stock split amount. So in Massey's case, it's going to be a 20-to-1 stock split. What that means is that each share outstanding is going to be multiplied by 20. So if you're a shareholder and you have 10 shares, that's going to become 200. If you have 100, it's going to become 2,000. So just bear that in mind. The stock split does not increase the value of your allocation. And so that's something you want to be mindful of. A stock split doesn't automatically mean you have made money. You'll see more shares, but the value of those shares remain the same. All right, so this is how Massey would have traded today. So it's been, for the last couple of weeks, I think this is everything that we're seeing here. Yeah, so it would have, I believe, listed the 28th or the 27th or 28th, and then started trading the next day. And this is kind of what we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. So just bear that in mind that, it started, I believe, at 3,200, and then it's been making its way down. It went as low as 1907 here. And we're seeing it kind of, hover around this region. I believe it's trading roughly between 2,000 and about 1,900 over the last couple of weeks. So it seems, it's still a week to go, so we don't know where the final price will be right before the split. But we see 58 orders to buy, and we see about 38 orders to sell. And it's not a large volume to me, right? 9,000 here, 10,000 there. So I don't know if it's because all the other excitement this week that has been happening, persons haven't really been paying attention to Massey, but we're not seeing much in terms of total volume. For today would have been 74,000, and based on what we're seeing here, March 4th, that would have been, well, that's today. Earlier this week, 2,000, 1,400, 8,000. So there's not a lot of volume being traded here. A few weeks ago, about 67,000, and that's about it. So when it comes to on March 12th, we'll see what the volume looks like, because one of the things that you do look forward to after a stock split is typically more activity. So we'll see in terms of trading volume if that changes. Let's see if there's anything here that's worth noting. We say 2,000 units there, 5,000 there. So 5,000 seems to be the largest, 7,500. So that's it. I mean, it does have a high nominal price, so it could be that, you know, the persons who are looking is not really, they don't have a lot of capital, but of course you can buy multiple times, so this doesn't really speak to the buyers. So just to kind of show you what took place today. So as I said, around 1950, I'm not seeing any price really outside of that range, high and low, pretty much a dollar apart. So that's what would have happened with Massey here today. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So if you're interested in owning Massey, what that would mean is that you'd have, if you want to be a shareholder pre-split, you have until March 9th. The split is gonna take place on March 11th, and then March 12th, it will start trading at that new price. So whatever the price ends on the day of March 11th, that's gonna be divided by 20. And then that's going to be the price that it trades at come March 12th, all right? Let me see what other companies I want to look at right now. All right, let me see what Laurie is saying here. Laurie is saying, with the increase, it doesn't say. Laurie, so there's this thing that I'll say here. So nobody knows what's going to happen, right? But stocks have a way of making you feel like once it's going up, it won't stop going up. I recall CPJ recently, I think it went as high as $22, traded at $14 today. Let me actually share that one. So I just want you to understand now, as I said, we don't know what's going to happen next week, and I'm certainly not one to tell you what to do, but just when you say it doesn't seem like it's going down anytime soon, you want to make your decision based on more than that. All right. All right, let's see CPJ here. Let me log in to JTrader as well. I'm just not sharing the screen so that you don't see my password. Yeah, so Laurie, I just want you to, go about it a little bit more. It can't just be that it doesn't look like it's gonna go down anytime. So that's not a good reason, in my opinion. JSH is saying that they're glad they didn't sell out early. They're smiling. No, a lot of investors are smiling at this point. We definitely see that. Okay, all right. So I'm logged into JTrader, but hold on, let me just find TPJ here. All right. All right, so this is Caribbean Producer. So as I said a few weeks ago, it was $22, and now it's down to $14, right? So that's a 33% drop in about a month. So just understand that when you say it doesn't seem like it's going down anytime soon, persons who are buying CPJ coming into the new year, seeing the price move from 11 to 22, that's 100%. They might say it doesn't seem like it's going down anytime soon. You don't want to make your decision based on that, right? Because after such a great run up for a stock, persons may choose to take profit. There may be news that comes out that may impact in investors' decisions. There are many things that can happen. So you don't really want you to make your decision based on where the price has been headed, right? Because somebody would have bought CPJ at $22 and they're now down 33%. All right, so just bear that in mind. All right. Let me see what else is here. Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that with Laurie's comment there. You really, as investors, you want to make your decisions based on more than where the price is. All right. right, so let's look at Spurtree. All right, so this is a group favorite over Telegram. I'm not gonna call the person's name, who is a big, Spurtree fan. Shout out to whoever that is. But Spurtree would have reached its all-time high today. It went as high as $4 today, right? So that's what we're looking for. So if you're unfamiliar with Spurtree, the IPO would have been public in January, right? So $1, and it has grown 300% since, right? To what, at a point that it got to $4. So it went as high as $2.57 in January, had a slight correction to 207, and then it's been consistently moving up since. It's been holding at 3 for a while, and then we're seeing over the last couple of weeks it's been slowly climbing up. So today it actually triggered circuit breakout, and as I said, it traded as high as $4. So I mean, this has been one of those that persons have had great expectations for. I don't think there's anything that was published in terms of news for them. We're still awaiting their first report after being listed. So we're just waiting for more information on them, right? So at this point, we don't have anything but the financials that they would have released in the prospectus to go by. We saw their plans. We saw how things were shaping up for them in our prospectus review. So again, be sure to watch that if you're interested in seeing it. So I mean, we just have to just kind of watch this for now, because we don't have any other thing to really analyze for this company. And in terms of volumes, we didn't see a lot of high volumes this week, about 1 million units there, but we've seen as high as about 25 million units, right? So over the last week, the highest amount traded in a day would be about 3 million units, all right? So the one I wanted to look at, I think what everybody's waiting for, is Fesco. All right, let's see here. So Pauline says what goes up must come down. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that statement either, right? Because, I mean, when you say go down, what do you mean, right? With such a high PE, so that's the thing, Osman, right? So, and for those who don't know what PE is, that's price to earnings. So usually there is an average value for price to earnings that companies are recommended to be purchased within. Now, I mean, PE is something that is interesting, right? Because not every stock will trade within that average PE. So it's, I mean, I think it's close to a PE of about 95. Let's check the Mayberry trade sheet and see. So the site that I'm on, Mayberry trade sheets, I'm gonna share it in the description of the video. And this is just a place that I come to have a quick look at the PE. Now, sometimes the data here, you may see something that you want to validate. So I would say just be sure that if something looks off to you, it's best to check it yourself. But if I just want to do a quick check, I'll come here. So Fesco would have closed at $7.92 today. And that price, it has a price to earnings ratio of 95, right? And it's saying here the 12-month projected PE is about 71. So that would be considered high based on, what's known to be that recommended threshold. But again, the PE is just one of those things that you look at when you're analyzing a company. All right. Let me see what is said here. So the only thing I noticed at Spurtree, yes, it did halt at $3.96. So let me see if I can find the point that it halted today. Let me find it for you. Okay. So I'm going to go back to, so this is Moneyline. So we saw here, so right at 11:43, a.m. it traded at 396. So based on the fact that, as you're seeing here, 20.36%. So based on the starting reference price for a stock, it's not allowed to trade higher than 15% that reference price. So the $3.96 would have been 20% higher than the reference price. So it would have halted for 1 hour. So that's why you're seeing here 11:43, then 12:45. So no trades would have taken place within that hour. And then, from that point, there's an average between the starting reference price and the new reference price. So then it would have been able to trade higher than 396 at that point. It went to $4, and then it ended the day at, I believe, 366. All right. So that's what happened with Spurtree today. Is that I don't know how to pronounce the name, sorry. How do you know when to exit? I mean, that's a question that we'll actually get into a little bit tomorrow in our class, but there's no one way to answer that question, right? Different situations call for different strategies, all right? Okay, so I would have gotten to everybody's questions. So let's spend the rest of the time here. We're gonna wrap up in a few minutes to look at Fesco, all right? Okay, so a couple of things, right? A couple of things would have happened over the last couple of days. So if you've been following social media at all, so there is actually some conflict or war going over in other parts of the world, and there has been a lot of talk and focus around oil prices, which have been trending up, and that, in addition to some other things here, I think would have led to a lot of interest in Fesco for this week. But before we get to here and some of those other things that I think it might be, let us see any news that would have come out for them. Because what we're trying to do first is to determine what pieces we can put together to determine what would have led to that increase in price, right? So a couple of things might have taken place. We don't want to speculate. We want to kind of look at the information as much as we can find, and then see if that makes sense to explain the increase in prices that we're seeing. All right, so we see here on, let me go just for the last week only. So I've seen here a director would have purchased on the open market 450,000 units, February 17, purchase of 355,000 units. And we see here from March 4th, this came out today, I believe. Connected parties sold 38 million Fesco shares. Let me actually click on this, see if it gives the entire details. Connected parties sold a total of 38 million shares, and an executive director and a connected party purchased a total of 38 million shares on February 28th and March 1 as a part of an incentive plan for Fesco service station dealers and employees. Also, a director sold 5 million Fesco shares on the open market, right? So what this is saying is that, so this was sold on the open market, right, that part. So we should be able to see the volume for whichever day traded 5 million or more and understand at what point that would have taken place. This trade seemed to have taken place outside of the market. So, I mean, the thing that I would normally do here is go and look at the top 10 shareholder, see who would have as much as 38 million shares to be able to sell, and then likely at the next, well, if this even qualifies to be in the top 10, because I'm not even sure. Let me see if I can find that information actually, because I don't know if 38 million is enough to get you into the top 10 quarterly. Okay, third quarter. Let's see here, right? Okay, Laurie, I'll speak about the coaching session at the end. I don't know if they would publish it in here. So 38 million, right? So 38 million. So it could be anyone in the top 10 at this point, right? So based on what we're seeing here, so what we can likely do is wait for the next report, or the annual report will show you specifically who sold, and it should likely show you who would have bought. Well, no, because 38 million is still below here. So actually, I don't know. So let's see what the annual report says. You may be able to get an idea as to who made the purchase or who made the sale. But it's not definitive enough to say here, because top 10 starts at 65. That means somebody with 50 or 55 or 64 million would not be in this top 10 list. All right. But let's see specifically what the article said, because maybe I missed something, right? They're gonna update. It's still showing me it's virtually, but not updating. Let me try updating it here. Here we go. All right, so it says an executive director. All right, connected party sold, and executive director and connected party purchased. Okay. All right, so we can look at that and go back to the directors, check that out, etc. All right. So that's kind of what I'd be doing, to go through and maybe try to understand who it is. But again, I mean, I don't necessarily need to understand who it is. I just need to know that it took place, and I can wait for more details when the annual report comes out. All right, so let me see if I'm missing any questions here, because I'm going to be wrapping up soon. So 1,000% is calculated by, so the IPO was 80 cents, and it went as high as 8.49. Let me show my screen here. So 8.49. So that would be 1,000% from the IPO price. All right, hopefully that answers. Dwayne is saying it's very tempting to sell, but I know better without my portfolio. That's a personal decision. Yes, Osmond, there was news. Let me actually find that one. Thank you. This is why I'm going through the comments to make sure I'm not missing anything. So this was announced today on Fesco's social media pages. So Fesco is pleased to announce the launch of its E10 88 blend gas on March 4th at Fesco Beechwood Avenue. So the initiative will provide an additional fuel grade option at the pump, and these are all the benefits of that new fuel grade. So that was published today. So and as I said, if there are companies that you're tracking, I've said this in previous videos, you want to follow them on social media, see what they're announcing, to see if there is possibly a response or an activity that you can map back to what's happening on the market. All right. Okay, so Abigail, I'm not sure what stock we're going to review next. Seprod has been requested before, so we're going to see what comes up. All right. It is something that we have on the list. I'm just not sure when. Tajay is saying just a speculation, but Fesco could be up because of the high oil prices. So that's one of the things that we were discussing in the Telegram group. So we looked at the high oil prices, the anticipation of the upcoming report. They are in their final quarter. So that's the report that we are expecting soon. And I think it's a combination of those two things. We would have seen the purchases and sales by the directors. So that's the third thing. And to add to that, if there's a lot of activity, a lot of volume, investors are piling in, that can be just all those conditions happening at the same time can lead to quite an interesting series of events, right? So Peter, you didn't miss much. We just looked at Massive, spoke about Massive, spoke about Spur3, discussed the fact that JFP is expected to list next week, and Edufocal would have been oversubscribed and closed right away. So Dwayne is asking if directors purchase drive up the price. Well, for the for the sales that happen outside the market, that probably would not have an immediate impact because those prices can be negotiated. But if you notice, for the two other purchases that we looked at, it says that those directors would have purchased on the open market. So that would have been, so we don't know how they would have placed the order. So let's say that the director came to the queue and just bought 450,000 units at market price. Then that would pretty much, as many price points as they can to eat up the volume that they're trying to purchase, you would cause the price to move up based on that. All right, so hopefully that answers the question. Good trading principle is to sell when everybody is buying and to buy when everyone is selling. That's an interesting perspective, Courtney, because everybody could be selling because everybody is moving on. So if you buy when everybody is selling, you might be waiting a while. I would not assume that way, Paper Plate. Don't assume just because it's at an all-time high, it's bad to buy. I wouldn't say that. Trust me, non-sequitur, I think a lot of persons are hoping the same. So detail, I haven't looked at details, so I wouldn't be able to say. There was somebody who reached out to me wanting for me to review them. I have not gotten a chance to look at it. We did review their company last year, so maybe you can check out that video. But personally, I haven't looked at them since. So Tajay is saying it's a possibility that when the selling of oil prices die down before the report, well, we don't know, right? So these things, we have to track them daily. We have to see what's happening and make our adjustments accordingly, right? So we also have to see what happens on Monday because it has had quite a bit of run up. The PE is considered high right now, so we don't know. So you want to make so one of the things, for example, that we look at in the class tomorrow is how to do projections for the company. And so what I would be doing is looking at the projections for Fesco. I'd be waiting to see. I mean, my style is not just to jump in when everybody's looking at a company. So, I mean, I would just say that's a personal decision, but yeah, so hopefully that kind of helps you. So Kevin is saying the recent Fesco investors are not factoring that along with the higher sale price for gas is also a higher purchase cost. That is something that we spoke about in the Telegram group as well, because a higher gas price doesn't necessarily mean more profit. So one person was asking and said they would look into the margins to see what they typically are. But even if the margins remain the same, more revenue means more profit ultimately. So if the margins remain the same and you sell 200% more, you're still gonna see that increase in net profit once your once your expenses remain the same, right? So bear that in mind. Peter is saying let's look at Salada next. It used to do well, but now on a low. So I mean, there are a lot of stocks to track. Salada is not one of them that I've looked at yet. So in terms of how we can sign up for class, all right, so let me share that link again. Let me share that in the chat. Yeah, so in terms of just everything that's been happening, so I mean, it's really good to see what's happening with Fesco. We spoke about them on our Stocks to Watch video earlier this year. David, Rose, Chike, and myself were looking at some stocks that we're just keeping an eye on for this year. So that was one of them that David mentioned. So we're happy to see how it's doing. In terms of whether you should be buying or selling, that's completely up to you. You have to determine if you're not a shareholder, whether or not now is a good time for you to buy. You have to speak to a licensed financial advisor. I can't tell you that. In terms of whether or not it's a good time to sell, we do have a video that speaks about when is the best time to sell a stock. You want to, before you make a purchase, you want to have an idea as to when would be a good point to either take profit or to sell completely. That is a personal decision. That's completely up to you. I can't tell you that. All right. So Craig, look at our stock review for Fesco. We spoke about the different ways in which they receive income. All right, so apart from the gas station, they have multiple products. So check out their website. They do have the quick service restaurant as well, and some other things that I think they're working on coming on stream. So check out their website. It shows all of their products and it shows their business model, etc. All right. All right, so Peter shared the links. Let me just answer Lori's question about the coaching before I go. Usually we try to do these weekly updates within 30 minutes. So this is a little bit longer than usual. Okay, so in terms of our coaching, this is what is contained. So what we're trying to do, and the reason behind the coaching is that there were persons who needed to have a little bit more, comprehensive support in terms of their finances. Now, we're not licensed financial advisors, so we can't advise, but we can coach, as in provide guidance as to how we can manage your money. So that's what really this program is about. We'll go through these topics that you see here, and at the end of it, you should have templates, a strategy, a clear understanding of how to manage your money and how to go about getting to financial freedom. So that's the purpose of the coaching. That's what you get in terms of what the sessions involve. We'll be publishing more information over the next coming weeks. It does start a month from now, so you do have time to register and make your payment. So you can decide if it's for you. Coaching is not for everybody. It's for those persons who determine that they need to get that guidance step by step through the different stages of money management to be able to have confidence that they're able to get to their goals, right? So it's not for everybody, but if it is sounds like something that you could benefit from, register, reach out to us. We'll answer any specific questions that you have. But based on our research on the cost for coaching, just some of the prices we've seen and what's included, we thought that was a fair price. It's less than what we were initially going to go with, but it's not something that we want to be. We don't want to have too high a barrier of entry in terms of price. So we thought we'd come up with something that's considered reasonable for what we'll be giving you in return. All right. Yeah, so Craig, we spoke about those things before as well. All right, so let me see if there's anything else that I want to mention to you guys before I go. So look out for JFP next week. We're interested to see how it will trade on the first week. The reviews were mixed, right? I think all of the reviews that we saw, I can't remember a review that said to participate. I think most of the reviews came and said you weren't supposed to. So persons are interested to see how it will perform. It is an interesting company. I think they did share their pipeline. They did share some things that they're expecting to be on stream. So I think it's, again, just a personal decision. If you're not familiar with the company, go through it first, speak to your financial advisor and determine, right? Fontana actually released their results today. So I can actually share that in my next stock update. I want to be able to go through it first before I share the highlights of it. So that I'll speak about next week, Friday. All right, so I really hope this session, gave you guys a quick update as to what was happening. Hope it was helpful. Join us on Telegram if you have not. And be sure to like this video. It really helps our channel out. And any questions that I might have missed, post them in the comments. I'll definitely get back to you, and we can continue the conversation in our Telegram group, right? So I'm hoping to see you tomorrow at our investment class. If you missed the class tomorrow, be sure to register for the next one. These classes aren't going to be made public because it's something that we're actually, we are still building out. So when we do the class, we're able to give you pretty much the first draft of the class. We'll add some more content to it and likely publish it on our academy. All right, so this is a free class. You're not charged for it. When it's published to the academy, likely at that point, you'll need to pay for it. So I would take advantage of the free class. So I hope to see you there. All right, please do enjoy the rest of your evening.